Flock cameras are designed to help police solve crimes, but they've also raised a lot of privacy concerns across the country and here in East Texas and Tyler. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Blake has the night off. KLTV's Emma Burns explains how the city of Tyler is using the Flock camera technology and what the police chief says happens with the data it collects.
It's not a new technology, it's just a technology that's more prominent nowadays.
For nearly 5 years, Chief Jimmy Toller says the Tyler Police Department has used Flock cameras as an investigative tool, capturing license plate information from vehicles that pass by.
We use it strictly for criminal justice purposes. Whether it's patrol officers, criminal investigators, we can access the systems. It picks up the license plate and general descriptors of the car itself. It gives me no other information.
Toller says the cameras are placed based on crime trends and where they can be most useful to officers. The city owns 9 cameras, but Toller declined to say exactly where they are.
Well, 2 of them are mobile because they really are investigative tools. If we're telling you where we're moving to and keeping ahead of it all the time, they lose their investigative value.
Flock's website says the cloud-stored images are automatically deleted after 30 days unless flagged as evidence in an active case. Responding to recent reports that Flock is reducing data retention to 7 days, Toller expressed concern that a shorter window could hinder investigations.
If you put a 5 or 7 day limit on it, you're at 6-7 days before that case ever gets to a criminal investigator if you're not careful.
Residents and privacy advocates online have questioned the constitutionality and security of the cameras. But Toller argued that the cameras do not violate privacy rights in public spaces.
There is no desire, no intention to monitor, track, do anything on what they're doing on a daily basis. Go about your lives and enjoy yourself and don't worry about those license plate readers.
Toller says if you believe the technology was used improperly, file a formal complaint to the department's Internal Affairs Division. Emma Burns, KLTV 7 News.
Toller reported that Flock cameras have been documented in 75 police reports since January 1st of this year. He says contributing to a steady decrease in Tyler's crime rates in recent years.